Welcome to Spurs Focus, your go-to spot for daily Tottenham news, transfers, and match updates. Don't forget to support the channel by hitting that subscribe button now. Let's dive into today's top story. This was a game that wrapped up Tottenham's past, present, and hopefully future, all in one manically tied package. It's tough enough to go to Brighton at the best of times, with the Seagulls unbeaten at home, against the Premier League's traditional Big Six since the start of last season, having bested all of them apart from draws against Arsenal and now Spurs. Yet Tottenham could be forgiven for being mentally scarred by their collapse on the south coast just under a year ago, as they threw away a 2-goal half-time lead that day to lose under Ange Postecoglou. The 2 goals they conceded on Saturday afternoon bore a similarity to some of the high-line defending witnessed that day. Yet this time, the second half at the Amex Stadium brought a happier ending for Tottenham under Thomas Frank. The visitors conceded just 8 minutes into the contest at the Amex Stadium. With Brighton's first attack of the day, Jorginho Rutter picked out Yankuba Minte's run, and the Gambian attacker raced behind Spurs' high line, rounded Guglielmo Vicario, and poked the ball home. The Seagulls doubled their lead half an hour in with a powerful effort from Yassine Ayari that Vicario should have dealt with from that angle and distance. Spurs grabbed a lifeline just before the interval, when Mohamed Kudus' shot struck Richarlison, and the Brazilian striker spun and lashed home the loose ball in the 6-yard box. Frank's side dominated the second half with a game-changing second-half cameo from Xavi Simons causing all manner of problems through the centre of the pitch. With 8 minutes to go, the Dutchman found Kudus on the right. The Ghanaian's curling cross hit Brighton defender Jan-Paul van Hecke on the leg and flew into the host's net. It was just reward for a comeback full of character. That character was also being shown on the sidelines. Frank is a lively presence at the best of times, but on Saturday, he came close to boiling over at one point and channeling his inner Antonio Conte. It came just moments before he introduced Xavi to the party on 61 minutes. Richarlison had executed what appeared to be a regulation challenge on Brighton left-back Ferdi Kadioglu, only for the referee Chris Kavanagh to blow his whistle. Frank exploded in anger on the touchline towards the man in the middle, flinging his arm around and shouting. Kavanagh just stared at him, watching as fourth official Tom Neild spoke to him to see how he reacted. Fortunately for the Dane, his touchline temperament lies somewhere between Conte and Postecoglou, so he had already calmed down by that point and avoided any punishment from the official. At the end of the day, his Tottenham side had 45 touches in the Brighton box compared to the hosts having 17 in theirs, with 135 successful final third passes to the Seagulls' 57. The hard-earned point left Frank purring over what it meant and how it tied in with what he spoke to his players about before the match. I'm very happy with that character. I spoke about mentality before the game to the players. That, to go down here against a good Brighton side, away from home, on the back end of our first Champions League game, it's all about mentality, the Dane told Football.London. Of course, we need structure and tactics and game plan and all that. We like to praise ourselves as coaches. But in the end of the day, it's mentality to stay in there when it's tough. And I love the way we started the game. Away from home, just boom on top of it. I don't think Brighton were over the halfway line in the early minutes. Then they scored a goal where, praise to Brighton, we can do better, and it's like this close to being offside. We keep going, keep on it, and then great goal, but Vic can do better. Very happy with him, spoke to him, so I think he had a great season for us, and it happens. But we keep going, we stay in the game, stick to the game plan, and I thought we looked physically strong. He added, I thought the players looked strong and were intense throughout the game, even though we had a midweek game, which I'm very happy with the physical preparation during pre-season and everything the team have done, with big help from the performance staff at Tottenham. So the mentality, the physical aspect I thought was key, and coming here where last year we came here and were 2-0 up, lost 3-2. Now we're 2-0 down and come back 2-2. I think it's good. If there should have been a winner in my eyes, and maybe I'm slightly biased, I think it should have been us. I think the amount of crosses, the amount of touches in the opponent's box, the amount of near chances was more than enough to win the game. Frank's Tottenham are still a work in progress, and this match brought plenty of positives and also things to work on. There were first starts of the season for Destiny Udogie, and Wilson Odobert and the two left-siders put in differing displays. Tottenham's relentless schedule continues after big wins over West Ham and Villarreal. Thomas Frank now faces a tough Premier League test at Brighton. Tottenham's busy fixture schedule continues on Saturday as they face a tough game at Brighton in the Premier League, and Thomas Frank must again make some big squad decisions. Last Saturday evening, Spurs recorded a 3-0 win at West Ham, and then on Tuesday night they followed that up with a 1-0 Champions League victory against Villarreal. In a run of fixtures this month that will bring a game every 3 to 4 days, Tottenham now make the trip to face Brighton at the Amex Stadium on Saturday afternoon. Frank will want his team to continue their strong start to the season, which has brought 4 wins in 5 matches, including 4 clean sheets and just 1 goal conceded. The trip to face the Seagulls will provide a stern test, though, of both the team and Frank's faith in his squad. Having 3 full recovery days between matches, thanks to a Tuesday night Champions League game, should help the Dane pick a strong lineup. And up next he has the Carabao Cup tie against League One side Doncaster Rovers on Wednesday night, which is likely to see him heavily rotate his squad. João Palhinha could come into the starting lineup alongside Rodrigo Bentancur, and if the Portuguese does step back into the 11, then it means one of Pape Matar Sarr and Lucas Bergwall has to drop out. With Bergwall enjoying back-to-back man of the match displays this week, it would seem unlikely to be the 19-year-old Swede that makes way. Elsewhere, Frank must decide whether it's time to give Destiny Udogie his first start of the season, and whether Randall Kolo Muani is fit enough to start, or whether that comes against Doncaster, or whether Brennan Johnson comes into the team to add more scoring ability on the break. The Spurs head coach remains without Dominic Solanke for the matches against the Seagulls and Rovers, as he has just returned to grass following his ankle problem. Here's the Tottenham team. We reckon Frank might select to face Brighton at the Amex. Thomas Frank says he holds no hard feelings towards Yves Bissouma after the Tottenham midfielder fell foul of his rules and failed to find a move this summer. Spurs travel to Bissouma's former club Brighton this afternoon, looking to maintain their strong start under the Dane, which has brought 4 wins in 5 matches with 4 clean sheets and just 1 goal conceded. Bissouma has played no part in that following a knee injury during a summer in which Tottenham tried to sell him with his contract coming to a close next year. The 29-year-old has made 100 appearances for the North London club since arriving from Brighton for £25 million in 2022, but the Mali international has never consistently impressed and has struggled with disciplinary issues both on and off the pitch. Bissouma was filmed inhaling nitrous oxide last summer, and the social media video brought a 1-game Spurs suspension for the season opener, and he soon fell foul of Frank after repeatedly turning up late. The new head coach duly left him out of his UEFA Super Cup squad and then his Champions League squad for the coming months. A knee injury scuppered the midfielder's chance of a move and left Spurs with the risk of him running down his contract. Frank said that despite everything that has happened, Bissouma will not be cast aside when he returns to fitness. There are no hard feelings at all. Not before, not now, not at all. Train well and everyone has an opportunity, said Frank. He has just started to run outside, so he is not part of the group, but everything I've seen when I've said hello to him, and every day with the players, he seems good. Bissouma had already fallen down the pecking order behind 19-year-old Lucas Bergwall, who Frank admitted ahead of the game at the Amex Stadium is going from strength to strength. The coaches and I have been working with him on a couple of things. He's got so much energy that sometimes you need to say pause, stop, don't run when we have the ball, and find the higher, more dangerous positions, said the Spurs boss. For example, the deep run where he scored against West Ham was a big thing. The deep run where he was involved in the own goal against Villarreal. Those deep runs and arriving in a higher position up the pitch are key. Spurs remain without the injured Dominic Solanke, who has now returned to working on the grass alongside Japanese summer signing Kota Takai. Frank is looking to build upon the attacking side of his Tottenham side after putting the structure in place for a stronger defensive unit, as evidenced by the early flurry of clean sheets, the Champions League win against Villarreal, and the defeat in the Premier League to Bournemouth showed that the Dane system's yet to fully click among a group of new attacking players like Mohamed Kudus and recently Xavi Simons. Big boost for Spurs. Dominic Solanke edges closer to a comeback, Maddison and Kulusevski step up rehab, and Son Heung-min proves he's still world-class with a hat-trick in ML. Tottenham striker Dominic Solanke looks to have taken one huge step closer towards a return from injury after missing the last 3 games. The 28-year-old has been dealing with an ankle issue since early August, which has resulted in him only playing 50 minutes of competitive football this season. All of those arrived before September's international break, with Solanke unavailable for wins against West Ham United and Villarreal, after surprisingly being absent from the squad to face his former club Bournemouth prior to the 2-week domestic pause. Despite having nearly 3 weeks to recover, ahead of last Saturday's win over West Ham, Solanke was ruled out of the London derby, and yet Frank still delivered a mostly positive update. Dom will not be available still. We don't expect it to be too long, but he will not be available for this game, he said in a press conference. With only a few days between Spurs' latest 2 victories, it was no surprise that Solanke remained out, but again Frank's comment suggested a return is not too far off. He is taking steps in the right direction, the Tottenham boss revealed before the Villarreal win earlier this week. So that is positive. As you saw out there that he was not involved in training, he is not ready to be involved tomorrow. For a number of weeks, Frank has been delivering similar Solanke updates in his press conferences, and yet he has continued to be absent. However, it certainly looks as though there was substance to his words, with the England international captured out on the grass, doing some individual training on Thursday, as per Sky Sports' Michael Bridge. A return to the matchday squad facing Brighton this Saturday is highly unlikely, considering how long he's been out, and also because he is yet to training with the squad this month. It is certainly a positive update though, and, barring any untimely setbacks, Solanke could return before the next international break against either Bodo/Glimt in the Champions League or Leeds United a few days later in Premier League action. This injury boost has arrived following James Maddison and Dejan Kulusevski updates. The 2 attackers are both out with long-term knee injuries, but are stepping up their rehabilitation in the gym at Hotspur Way. Maddison also captioned an Instagram post, "Missing it so much. Long way to go, but I cannot wait to be back out there in that Spurs shirt, man." Hands together and white heart emoji. Son Heung-min continued his blistering start to life in Major League Soccer on Wednesday night, grabbing a hat-trick for Los Angeles FC in a 4-1 win over Real Salt Lake. The South Korean left Tottenham Hotspur in the summer after a remarkable 10-year stint with the club. His decade in North London culminated in superb style as he lifted the UEFA Europa League trophy, following a 1-0 win over Manchester United in Bilbao. The departure of Ange Postecoglou and the appointment of Thomas Frank ushered in a new era for Spurs, one that ultimately began without Son, who departed for a new adventure in the United States. While there were some doubts about his ability to perform in the Premier League last season, he has already proven he has more than enough left in the tank to torment MLS defences. Real Salt Lake were unable to handle the 33-year-old's running power and finishing throughout Wednesday's game. Son scored on a breakaway, and then from distance in the first half, before capping off another counter-attack in the second to complete his hat-trick. After the match, Son said he was delighted to hit the ground running in MLS, but warned the rest of the division that he can still get better. "I think I'm still adapting to this league, but I think I can play better than where I am at, for sure," he said. "It's a lot about communication with the players, and I think I have a very, very close relationship with everyone. It's been 5 or 6 weeks, I would say, but everybody has welcomed me so well, and we've been communicating a lot. Also off the pitch, culture-wise, it's very important. There are still other things in this league to understand and to build between players, but I think it's working really well at the moment. 5 of Son's 6 matches for his new club have been away from home so far, but 3 of the next 4 will be at BMO Stadium in Los Angeles." On this evidence, the home fans have plenty to be excited about.